Oh, I gotta drop my picks.
All right, here we go. Back. Week number 7. Starting to shed a tear. Almost over. But nevertheless, another solid week. I think we came in 5th last week. So pretty good. I actually did 2 changes too Sunday morning. And for a while there, they're looking a little rough. I switched. There was line movement in the Cincy game and in the Pittsburgh game. So I switched 2 Cincy and 2 Tampa, but it ended up going 1-1. So it didn't make a difference.
Right.
But otherwise, yeah, we came in 1, 2. Yeah, we came in 5th. But sadly, the team who was in 1st coming into the week finished 12 points ahead of us. So the lead only grows. It's weird. I think we're 40 points behind 1st and 40 points ahead of 3rd. So not bad, but
All right.
Here we go. So first up, we got the game taking place minutes from now. We got Saints at the Cardinals. Currently, Cardinals minus 2.5. We are getting it. Let's see. Let me pull it up. I think it's small. Yeah, Arizona only minus 1.5. So we technically, I guess the line movement would tell us to take the Cardinals here. I don't know. I find it a little tough to believe in Cliff right now. It feels like any game's going to be first coach fired. I feel like the Saints offense, it's not explosive isn't the word, but I think they're surprised. They're moving the ball. I feel like pretty well considering they're getting Olave back this week. I don't know. Kind of took 2 crazy plays from Jamar for them to lose that game. It's a weird game. 2 mediocre teams. So you got Arizona pretty low.
Yeah. I don't have much. I don't have much of an opinion on either of these teams.
Yeah. So I'll probably put Saints for a little bit lower. Next up, the playoff Giants at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Currently, Jacksonville minus 3 with 52% of the cash on Jacksonville. We're getting it for 2.5. I mean, as good as the Giants record is, I don't know. At some point, I feel like it's just all going to come toppling down. But with a coach like Dable, maybe not. I see you got Giants pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, my big thing with this one is that this has been said a lot in the media so far. I think this is the New York media's favorite thing to say. But basically, it's the Giants, they're a professional football team who doesn't really, as surprising as it would sound with Daniel Jones and company, they don't do a lot of things to kind of shoot themselves in the foot. They're pretty competent. They're pretty steady. And if you've watched basically any of their games, it's the same thing every time. They hang around, they go down by 10 or so points, and then they just wait for the other team to screw up. It happened last week with Lamar. He fumbles and muffs a snap and then throws a pick, right? And then that changes the game. And it's happened the weeks before that. You have a weird drive by the Packers, was it 2 weeks ago now, where they're unable to move the ball down the field, and the Giants just capitalize on that. So I don't know. It's the Jaguars. I think we thought they were much better than they were, and maybe they're still fine, but it seems like there is a bit of that regression to the mean with them. So I like the fact that the Giants are getting points. I still don't think that they're I don't know. Maybe they're not being given the respect that they deserve. Maybe they don't deserve that much respect, but they're at least competent and they're at least steady. Whereas I think the Jaguars are super volatile. Some weeks they're up, some weeks they're down. And when you're playing against a pretty steady Eddie team like the Giants, I would just take the team that's 1, getting the points, and 2, is less likely to shoot themselves in the foot compared to a team who you never really know what you're going to get. So,
yeah, I think that makes sense. Sometimes good football is the absence of bad football, which might be what the Giants are playing right now. So I think that's
exactly
fine. Put the Giants a little lower.
Cool.
Next up, we got. Do you think the Giants make the playoffs as of today?
It's hard, right? I mean, you could quickly go down the list and try to find all of the NFC teams, and dude, maybe there is just, I don't know, maybe they are just one of the best, because I mean, it's clear the Eagles won. I mean, I guess the Vikings too. They're 5-1, but how impressive really of a 5-1 is it? I don't know. And then maybe the Cowboys 3, but we haven't really seen them at full strength. I guess we haven't needed to. They've been able to float without it, but dude, the NFC East is looking pretty dang strong. And we'll get to our Atlanta Falcons in a little bit here, but don't know. I have a hard time picking 6 teams I feel more confident in the NFC than the Giants. So by that rule, I guess so, right? For now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And at this point, they'd have to go like what, 5-8 to miss the playoffs.
And they have
Yeah, a little bit
what is
worse.
it? The Falcons are the easiest strength of schedule. The Giants are the 7th easiest coming up, something like that. So
Yeah,
I mean,
it looks good.
how could you not like it? I don't know what the odds are, but I think that they're probably now favored to make the playoffs. And if they're not, it's probably within the plus 120 territory. So it's going to be fun. It's a fun time to root for them.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of which, next up, Falcons at the Bengals. I mean, this is crazy. Entering Sunday morning, this
Give me the
line
week.
was 7.5. It's currently 6.5. 52% of the cash is on the Falcons. 96% of the money line cash is on the Falcons. What the?
Wow.
People love the Falcons. I mean, for good reason. We just talked about the Giants. Sometimes good football is the absence of bad football. I think the Falcons are just playing good football. I don't think it's anything gimmicky. Not gimmicky is the word. I don't think it's anything fluky or lucky. They're just playing good football, well coached, with players that are probably better than they're being given credit for. Mariota, I mean, somehow he won NFC Offensive Player of the Week, which is pretty mind blowing. I mean, he played good, but he only had like 170 yards total, including his rushing. But they're just playing good football right now. And this is probably like their second hardest game rest of the year. So when you think of it that way, I mean, they can almost play with house money, I think, coming out of that win last week. Cincinnati, they're also coming off a win. But I still think they're kind of a mess. I think there might be a team as weird as it sounds. They kind of need someone to guess, make them put their foot on the pedal. Yeah. The Falcons might be the perfect combination of good team, but they're going to lure the Bengals into handing off to Joe Mixon, going 3 and out. So I got the Falcons 1. I mean, I don't think any team has ever gone 7-0 on the spread. I think it's 12 teams have gone 6-0, but I think they all lost the 7th game.
Wow.
I can double check that, but like the Falcons, I think they'll do it.
I do too.
And I do think, I mean, like I said about them having, this is probably their second or third hardest game. And their 4th hardest game is probably home for the Saints. So I think, man, it's going to be hard for them to miss the playoffs, I think. Next up, Packers at the Commanders, currently plus 4.5 for the Commanders, 83% of the cash on them. Tough. I mean, geez, it stinks if you're going to be watching this game. I don't think it's going to look that good. Trying to see. So it's 5.5 on our picks, down to 4.5.
Okay.
I have Washington low just because I don't have a feel on these teams. But if you got a feel on Green Bay, I'm good with that.
Yeah. The only thing that honestly scares me in this game is if you believe in the Taylor Heineke bump. I think we talked about the new coach bump last week with Carolina. That didn't work. But I don't know. Like, is he a better quarterback as it stands in Wentz? He honestly might be. But that team as a whole just really leaves so much to be desired. They don't really do anything right on either side. Brian Robinson, good story, obviously. But then again, on the Packers side, it's like, what the heck have they done right? Their defense doesn't look nearly as good as we thought it would be, and their offense is, oh my gosh, like bottom 5 in the NFL right now. Like, that might be generous. But all that said, I'm only calling this just on a Packers pedigree game. It is in Lambeau, right?
I think it's at Washington.
Okay, interesting. Well, regardless, it doesn't make too much of a difference to me. But I think that this, to me, is their last chance, Green Bay, to kind of get things right. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like, but I think they have a few tough ones coming up. So this is kind of one of those where you got to set the table, get things going. And once, hopefully for them, it clicks, then they can kind of start maybe rolling. But I don't know. I'm just basically putting this on an Aaron Rodgers sort of, all right, let's just take care of business game. They played the Bears earlier in the season, who I think are even worse than I almost called them the football team, even worse than the Commanders. They rolled with them. I think they'll probably roll the Commanders and move on and use this maybe as a momentum game. But what I'm trying to say here is, if this doesn't work for them and they neither cover, maybe don't win either, then I will have officially lost complete confidence in them. I don't have very much confidence in them right now, but it just kind of speaks to how little I believe in the Commanders. So going on the
it's weird.
Here.
I feel like I'm good with that. If you don't think the Packers can do this, you probably have to argue them being a bottom 8 team in the league, bottom 10. So yeah, maybe not step that far. I'm good with the Packers. Next up, Bucks at the Panthers. 55% is on the Panthers cash wise, but I mean, this is a game. If the Rams could cover against the Panthers, I mean, I think Tom Brady's just begging to drop 40 on someone. They still really haven't exploded.
Of course. Nope,
So.
totally agree. I realized I have Tampa twice, so there is a game that I probably missed. So just I don't know whether I had them sixth least confident, but I have them second most confident for real. So I probably put the same team or put them instead of someone else. So you'll say a game and I'll realize that they're missing, but I'll go on the fly.
Next up, so this is a little bit, not a ton, but to a key number. It's Lions at the Cowboys. Currently -7 for the Cowboys, with 86% of the cash on Detroit. We're getting at 6.5. So, I mean, I think Detroit's defense, if they give up 30 to New England or whatever they did, I think Dak coming back, I think they could give up a ton again, and I don't know if they can pace up. So,
yeah,
getting it under a touchdown, I like. So, I had them for 10.
Yep. I don't know what the heck line I was looking at, but I did Detroit plus 10. What was the line?
That's what I saw. That's why I checked the line movement.
Yeah,
right now it's 7 now. We're in for 6.5.
What did it open at? Did it open at 10? Was I looking at the wrong line? But
I was thinking, if anything, it probably had to open the opposite way.
Later, right? So I don't know what the heck. Maybe again, I might have just completely copied this one down, but no, I totally agree. So for whatever reason, when Detroit was plus 10, I like that because I think they play games pretty close. But if they are getting less than a touchdown, yeah, no, I 100% think that Dallas is they're obviously the better team. And while Detroit is frisky and while they're coming off of a bye, they're just not going to be able to, they've been able to go shot for shot with a lot of these teams, but not with Dallas, I don't think.
Yeah, the only downside would be, I think if Russ wasn't playing this bad right now, you'd say when Russ came back last year, he was pretty hurt. Quarterbacks usually come back a little weak with the thumb, but I'm not as concerned, I think.
No.
Plenty of time. Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah.
And I think there's a chance. I mean, it's the Cowboys. I could see them holding back Dak and saying, whatever, let's ride Cooper Rush, if he wasn't pretty healthy. Definitely not 100%. So let's see. I'll put the semi-high. Next up, we got the Indianapolis Colts at the Titans. Weird game. Matt Ryan currently second in passing yards. I mean, geez, this team. Also, this is their 5th out of 6 division games. I don't know how. I don't know who made the schedule, but after this game, they only have 1 division game left. 58% of the cash is on Indianapolis. I think it's a good story. I think it's good for Matt Ryan, what he's doing. I have it pretty low, but I don't know. I think outside, it's getting a little bit cold at Tennessee division game. I don't think I want to take, 1 game from Matt Ryan and really take it to the bank. But this is big for the Colts too. If they want playoff aspirations, can say it's a must win.
Yeah, I have it a little bit higher. I guess I have it 8th confident. I don't know. I mean, it seems like their offense is kind of starting to figure something out. I mean, you said it.
Pierce,
he's clearly airing it out. You mentioned Alec Pierce there. Pittman is showing. He's kind of showing flashes of the guy that he's likely going to be throughout the rest of the season. Their run game is still, I guess, TBD in terms of who goes. Do we have any news on Jonathan Taylor? Or
I think he's going to play. It sounded like he could have played last week, but he decided.
Right, and then it was a late scratch, right?
So
yeah, I mean, if he's back, clearly they're kind of figuring out their passing game. I like them. I don't love them. I just like a few other games a little bit less. But yeah, it's weird. I always have trouble whenever it comes to Tennessee. It just feels like whenever I bet against them, they tend to win. Whenever I bet on them, they tend to lose. They're so up and down, but despite how bad Indianapolis started, I do think they're the better team. They're probably gonna get the ball rolling here, so I think we could probably go for them low.
Yeah, win this, you probably win the division.
Right.
Tennessee off a bye, but we'll go with the Colts. Next up, Browns at the Ravens. This one's weird. I don't know. Andrews hasn't practiced 2 days in a row, but I don't know. I guess it's something we could look at Sunday. I would imagine he's gonna play.
Yeah.
I saw this. This is Cleveland's D's been so bad.
Right.
Pretty big line though. It's near 7. Right now it's at 6.5. We are getting it also at 6.5. I don't know. I think it's asking. We'll see obviously if Andrews plays, but it's also a little bit asking a lot of Lamar without Bateman to put up. He might have to put up 30 points if he wants to cover a touchdown. So, but nevertheless, I think the teams you see going off on Cleveland, I think Ravens are a little bit too.
Right. Exactly. No, that's a very good point.
So put that a little low, but
Yeah, that's where I have it 7. That's fine. You had it for 8. Yeah, right in the middle. That works.
next up, Jets at the Broncos. This is a weird game. It's currently Broncos -1. I, we're getting it at Broncos -2.5. So even line movement against the Broncos. But I mean, this is just like, let's see. I don't know. For me, this is just you can't do this. You cannot be doing a pick 'em with the Jets at Mile High. I don't know. I understand Denver looks awful in basically every possible way you can look awful. But man, it's the Jets. It's so tough. I mean, the other thing too is, what would I rather? Would I rather be the last guy off the Jets hating train,
Right.
or the first guy on too late on the Jets
Mhm.
liking train? And I don't care what it is. I don't think I can hop on the Jets train until Zach Wilson throws for 300 yards.
No, I
Denver's
totally
defense is
agree.
good too. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it could be a
exactly.
game kind of like that Thursday night game against the Colts that they win 12-6. I don't
Dude,
think that's
it's
crazy. So,
every one of their games is gonna be like that. And honestly, like just every time they play, and you just start hammering the under. I did it last week and it worked. And I wish I've been doing it all year because literally every single game the Broncos play, they score anywhere from, I don't know, 10 to 15 points, literally 15 points. And they have a good enough defense where they're going to hold their opponent to somewhere in that range. I'm trying to mix realm and range. That realm. It's crazy. Like, I can't believe how, like, I don't really care about the Broncos whatsoever. Like, it's just kind of hysterical that they let Russ cook, and what is it doing? And their coach is clearly just lost out there. But it's like mind boggling to me that every one of their games is legitimately the exact same thing. Like every game is the exact, and it is crazy. Like, why haven't, obviously people are talking about the Broncos, but why aren't people talking about the fact that literally every game is like just, you can't watch any of those games and be like, oh yeah, well they did that differently. It's the same thing every time. It's Russ tries to throw a ball deep, doesn't connect. Then he throws a weird ball over the middle. They connect for 4 yards. And then they're in no man's land and like third and, I don't know, like 16. And then they decide to kick a field goal from like 60 yards. Or then if it's 4th and 3, they decide to kick the field goal instead of going for it. It's just a whole bunch of weird stuff. And no matter how weird it is, the result is always the same. And with that in mind, their defense is good, as you said, and they're going to have to make Zach Wilson's going to have to start throwing the ball eventually, right? They can't keep winning by just doing this weird ground and pound offense. And yeah, Brees Hall looks awesome, but like against an actual, like, I guess the Packers defense is supposed to be professional. We say it a lot, but like maybe they're just not good. So maybe the Jets just continue to beat up on not so good defenses. And the Broncos defense is legit. You know, they have actually played some pretty high power offenses and they've stopped them despite all of their offensive woes. So yeah, I feel good about Denver here. The line movement is kind of crazy to me too, but I totally
71% of the cash on the Jets. I
yeah,
mean,
they're
I can't do that. I'm
they're
not
no,
doing that.
they're going crazy over it because yeah, they've won 2 games in a row now. Is that what it is? And sure, it's great. It's a great story, but like I don't love the comparisons between the Jets and the Giants, and obviously it's going to happen because it's 2 mediocre teams, and this is the first time they've had 9 wins through 6 weeks since like 2010 or something like that. But I don't
Yeah, I
know.
view them much differently. The Jets are way
Yeah,
more talented, I would
yeah,
say.
yeah. The Jets are a way more talented team that I don't think they're not underperforming, right? Because they're playing well.
But
But
theoretically, I think they are to their roster, right? I mean, not record wise, but I think performance wise.
oh, of course, yeah. But records wise, yeah. But
Yeah.
performance wise, yeah. You know that there's so much more talent on the ball. They've had
Mhm.
a plethora of first round picks that have, to their credit, have panned out. I mean, Sauce Gardner looks great. Brees Hall looks great. Zach Wilson, let's see. Whereas right on the Giants end, it's just kind of a it's a ragtag group of guys who are just being better coached than just about any team in football, and it's working. So, yeah, that's a bit of a tangent. Just kind of letting it out there that yeah, it's cool to see the Jets uh, be on the right side of a lot of games, but let's actually see what happens when they play against a good defense and when they're actually forced to throw the ball, because I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball down Denver's throat. So I like Denver where we have them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. It's as weird as it sounds. Like, what does the Jets do better than Denver? I don't get. And they're going to be on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, you're making the same argument. Both these quarterbacks suck. So, I mean, the Jets have a better offensive scheme, so Brees is a little bit better. But I don't know. I don't think I can put the Jets winning at Mile High on Brees Hall. because Denver's defense is the same thing as the Jets defense. They're both pretty good. So I don't really get it. It's just people betting against Wilson. But at some point, I mean, what if they played the Texans this week? They'd only be 3-point favorites. I don't get it.
Yeah, no,
No.
it's crazy. And I don't know what the frick happened with my picks, but I have the Jets down here. I think that I was in the process of writing down. What I usually do is I write down both teams with both of their spreads. I look at it and then I copy and paste it in. And there's a chance that I probably, this is, as we call it in the business, a transcription error, as Mike Tomlin likes to remind us. But
yeah, I
no,
logged on. I'm like, oh no, I made the picks, but I forgot to rank them. So I ranked them real quick.
Yeah. No. My list is a bit ragtag, Moving to a Thursday kind of threw off the flow, but
yeah, for real.
I had the picks in, but the transcription, I guess, kind of faltered. But no, I feel really good about Denver. Oh, let's just hope it doesn't bite us in the ass again like it did on Thursday night. Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, for sure. Next up, Texans at the Raiders. Real quick, actually, while we're on the topic of the Jets, I think it's a topic for the Jets, Giants, and Falcons. I mean, man, these three teams, you like what's happening this year, but who do you play next year at quarterback? Like, none of these three teams want to use the same quarter. Well, I mean, the Jets won't say it, but in a way, it's a failure if any of these three teams have the same quarterback next year.
No,
so
totally.
It makes it obviously, yeah. Well, all these teams are playing well, so you're rooting for wins. Obviously, you don't want to tank. They're good football teams, but it's just quarterback's so weird because I mean, what do? You don't want the guy at the helm, but you can't replace him at all.
So. Yeah, it's really going to come down to the fact of, are you winning in spite of your quarterback? And as funny as it sounds, I don't think the Giants are winning in spite of Daniel Jones.
No, the Jets are the only team I would say are winning in spite of.
Because both Jones and Mariota, like, they're a part of the scheme, like. And the scheme isn't too far off. I mean, I'd say the Giants is a little bit more outlandish in the sense that it's wildcat and it's direct snaps to not just Saquon, but you'll get some weird end arounds and stuff, and you'll have Daniel Jones actually pass the ball in somewhat high leverage situations. Whereas again, I won't speak for the Falcons, but it seems like it's like a three-headed monster in the backfield, and Mariota sometimes will just break off for a run here and there. They're a lot less reliant on the pass. Where I guess to my enjoyment, it is nice to see Daniel Jones actually dropping back and connecting with his receivers, because that's just literally something we've never seen before. And we really started to see it against the Packers. So if that can keep up, then listen, it's a very interesting spot to be in for all these teams. But I do think that Daniel Jones is the one that is the most polarizing, because he's the guy who's on the last year of his rookie deal and is, the next to be replaced. The Falcons, I mean, obviously Mariota is kind of he's a stopgap for whatever's next, but is Ritter the guy? Like, if it keeps working with Mariota, do you just integrate Ritter into the same system? Like, I don't know. Those aren't.
They are. Yeah. The one thing that doesn't get Ritter's he ran a 4.5
right
at the combine. So it's not a stretch to say next year he just comes in.
He just goes in and does the Mariota role. Right. So
and it's weird. Like, the team that's in the worst situation is the Jets, because they're 100%. The only team. I mean, if you're the Giants and the Falcons, you don't want to be playing these quarterbacks next year, but the Jets are the thing where it's an actual failure. Like, you're wasting seasons if you play Zach Wilson.
Totally. Yeah. They're winning.
Mariota's he doesn't throw the ball. It's the big thing now, right? They hide him. They don't throw the ball. He has the fourth most completions above 15 yards.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, that's that's a really fun system. That's not an ideal quarterback, but it makes you see why they like Trey Lance so much.
Right.
All they do, they run the ball and they throw deep. And, you talk about passing is more efficient than running. You shouldn't be running this much. If you're only running and throwing deep, how I'm viewing it now is like when the Bills throw a screen pass or something, it's like they do that just instead of running the ball, just because it's easier for their spread, their system. For the Falcons, it's almost like, you view the run game as an extension of the pass game. It's like working backwards, and like the pass game is just only deep. So it's like, especially with a quarterback like Mariota, the amount he can scramble, he can do design runs. You just got to look at it in a different fashion. But I think Wilson's the only one who's bringing nothing to the table.
Yeah.
Out of these two guys.
Wilson's being hidden. The other two are working, into a system that's built around a quarterback who isn't,
who's limited.
Traditional pocket passer. And it's different. They're limited, of course. But no, I totally agree.
Yeah. And I think it's limitations versus hiding. I think Jones and Mariota are limited. Zach Wilson needs to be hidden.
Yep.
Next up, Texans at the Raiders. Currently, Las Vegas -7. 88% of the cash is on Houston. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, it feels kind of gross betting on Houston, but the Raiders giving a touchdown is a little weird to me. I don't know. They're home. They're off a bye. But it looks like Waller's not going to play. Not that I don't know. He might be washed at this point. But Raiders for a touchdown just feels weird.
Yeah, feels like a lot. And same with Renfro. I don't know if he's playing. He hasn't. I don't think he's practiced. I don't know when the last time he was even healthy. Like he's had a concussion. Then it's been a lot of just like back and forth with him. So that leaves Devontae Adams, who has off the field trouble now, but I don't think he's going to face any sort of charges or whatever. So that'll probably be fine. But I mean, that literally leaves him with what? Matt Collins. Like there really is very little depth in what was viewed in the offseason as one of the most high-powered offenses in football. So yeah, I just see them having a hard time. Like I don't care how, I don't know what the word is for Houston's offense, but I mean they have Damian Pierce and he'll keep them alive, right? Like they'll play slow as they tend to do, and they'll just let Davis Mills do Davis Mills things. But I have a hard time seeing Vegas cover the spread. They'll probably win, but by a touchdown feels like a lot.
Yeah, it is weird. I mean, Vegas is talented. I don't know. I'm gonna move this a little bit lower than I have it now because it's just, in a way, man. I feel like they could lose just as easily as they could cover by like 20.
Right. Yeah.
So it's tough. Exactly. Like I think both are not outlandish. Like I don't think this is a game Houston can win. Is the thing. Like you're really, I think, betting on them to cover. I don't know, or rather, I'd say I think this is a game where if they cover, they're winning. I don't know if they can. Like you can't see 27-23.
No,
I can see maybe Houston wins. Like Las Vegas just comes out flat and Houston wins 13-10.
Right.
So it's weird in that perspective. So I'll move a little bit low, but keep Houston.
No, that's fine. Yeah, no, I don't have much to read.
Next up, this should be a fun game. Seattle at the LA Chargers. 96% of the cash on Seattle. Currently LA -5. Interesting. JC Jackson benched last week. Pretty crazy. He's currently 115 out of 116 starting corners in yards allowed. Completion percentage, passer rating, everything. The big signing. We're getting it at 6.5. So we're actually getting 1.5, including a 6 for Seattle. And I think Seattle could keep up with them. I think in any game tempo, Seattle can cover. So that's why I like them here. I don't think they're game script dependent at all. I think no matter what happens in this game, Seattle can potentially win cover. So
no, totally agree. And I love Kenneth Walker. I picked him up in one of my fantasy leagues, and
he's great. Yeah,
dude, he was. I mean, I probably like the third waiver claim that week, and I lost that week, and just no one else picked him up. So don't know how, but he could be a fantasy winner. So we'll see. But yeah, no, their offense is awesome. Like it's. I mean, not awesome in the traditional sense, but like they're gonna put up points. Doesn't matter who it is. They'll find a way to score points, and their games are always fun. And 7's a lot of points in the Chargers. I don't know. Same old with them. They're not going to be anything until Staley's out, if you ask me.
Just insane. He's the head coach. I mean, the memes of him versus Nate Hackett. I mean,
yeah, the ones the timeout memes are the funniest.
Yeah, and it's tough because I don't know. I guess we say this. You're running out of good coaches. I think that Shanahan tree is almost done.
Yep.
And the Reed tree, I think, is almost done too. It's gonna be, / like Kafka, Dorsey, and LaFleur, the last LaFleur.
Yep.
But after that, I mean, I don't really see anyone that could be up and coming. So it's weird. I mean, you got to get off your head coach now, I think, for the Chargers. Don't bother waiting. Next up, Chiefs at the Niners. If the Niners were fully healthy, this would be fantastic game. Probably
that's why I have what I have.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm fine. I mean, you watch the Atlanta game last week, you can just see San Fran's a little a little slow. It's a different team. I mean, it's not just injuries. It's the best players on their team are currently hurt on defense, right?
Yep.
And the fun thing about the Niners, kind of similar to what I just said, they can play in any game script, but if their defense is that bad, they can't.
Then they're gonna have to force it.
Not that I really like Kansas City, but not even a field goal. So I think that's fine against the hurt Niners.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, we love the Falcons, but I mean, they kind of put a hurting on the Niners, and like,
yeah, it wasn't close.
We're not saying that they're always capable of that, but I mean, like that was maybe a bit overblown compared to what would have happened had both these sides been healthy. So I think that 2.5 is probably fair.
The worst thing I saw all week was San Francisco Atlanta game. Atlanta's up 28-14. They gave the ball back to the Niners at like the 1 yard line with 12 minutes left in the fourth. So San Fran, I mean, you're down 14 in the fourth quarter. You got to go down. You got to score, right? That drive took 8 minutes. It ended on a turnover on downs. I mean, at that point, like that, it was just insane. I've never seen anything like that in football where an 8-minute drive, turnover on downs, down 14 in the fourth. I don't know how that happens, but it's the downside. I mean, we love the Niners, but that's what they're capable of sometimes. Right. So next up, Steelers at the Dolphins. Currently Dolphins -7 with 74% of the cash on Miami. I'm not sure who's actually starting this game. For
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, I guess it sounds like Tua's playing, but in terms of Pittsburgh, I'm not exactly sure. I would assume Trubisky.
Mhm.
It's weird. Steelers kind of shut down Brady, but I don't want to forget how we felt about Miami earlier in the year. No, I have Pittsburgh now, but I kind of like Miami here.
Yeah. No, I like Miami here too. I really think that Pittsburgh has a knack for getting up for those like big pedigree games. You know, it's like
Oh yeah,
Bengals. Oh, AFC representative in the Super Bowl. Let's get at him. We've had all offseason prepare. Brady, he's as vulnerable as he'll ever be. Let's do this, this, and that. Let's get up for it. You know, Miami doesn't feel like one of those games. It feels like one of those games where maybe they'll stick around early and Mitch will weirdly show flashes. But if it is Mitch, like I don't know what it is, but it almost is like he's just will forever be better as a backup who's brought in oddly high leverage situations. And when the expectations are low, that's when he tends to thrive. If he's starting this game, then the expectations have to be a little bit higher, right? Because you're the starter. And that usually doesn't tend to work in his favor. I also totally agree with your first point of, I mean, we were talking about Miami before the whole, you know, Tua scare and whatnot as one of the top like 5 teams in football. And really aside from the Tua injury, nothing else has changed. So I feel pretty good about them. I do think it's hard to forget what the Steelers did last week, but to my prior point, I think that they get up for the big ones, and for really anything else than those pedigree games, they'll kind of just remain the Steelers that we've seen most weeks.
Yeah, makes sense. Last game, Monday Night Football. Bears at the Patriots. Mac Jones will start, according to the reports today.
All right.
And I mean, I'm ready for an FU Mac Jones game. I was looking at some of his stats somewhere from the first couple of weeks. He's number 1 in the league. 29% of his throws were going past 15 yards. I mean, this guy, people just have a misconception. I don't understand it. I mean, he's a smart guy who throws the ball deep. I don't get it. I don't think, and it sounds like I did watch the Patriots game this week because I was just like, how did they put up 30? I mean, and it was a little weird. I wasn't too impressed, but I think maybe it's Patricia maybe picked up some things coaching Zappy, how to make an offense a little bit easier. They're forced to make the offense a little bit easier. Maybe they'll keep that for Mac a little bit. I mean, I really like Mac. I think he comes out firing. And I don't think the Bears can hang with them. Belichick against Justin Fields. I mean, come on.
Right. Yeah. No. I to that last point, this is just a clear Belichick FU game. Like I'm just 10 times smarter than anyone on this Bears staff, and I'm going to make it's just funny because the whole, you know, the Belichick way is you take out their number 1 weapon. Like the Bears just don't have a number 1 weapon anywhere. So they're just going to clearly target the weakest link now, you know? And when your weakest link happens to be your quarterback, the game is going to kind of be living hell for you. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I wish there's a way just to, like, I wish you could just bet, and I'm sure you could, but just like on all of the turnover props and like an over under on New England's fantasy points for like defense, because I think that you got to hammer the over. I just think it's going to be a turnover fest. I'm thinking multiple picks, strip sacks, you name it. I agree, right, as well, though, that I think that some of this New England hype is a little bit overblown. Obviously, Simmons, you know, this is his favorite team since 2009, I think he just said, despite the fact that he was bashing them like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm also not ready to say there's a quarterback controversy because, yeah, look at the teams, look at what they've done. So we'll see. Also, Damian Harris is coming back, which is interesting because it's been the Ramondre show, so that kind of hurts our fantasy team a little bit, but he's clearly the more talented guy. So I hope that he continues to provide for us there. But no, I feel fine with New England. And yeah, we have 13th overall. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think that's good. So that's it on the games. Final card is currently, as of now, Atlanta, Tampa, Denver, New England, Seattle, Dallas, Miami, Green Bay, Giants, Kansas City, Houston, Baltimore, New Orleans tonight, and then Indianapolis at the lowest.
Cool.
Hopefully make up some ground on first. We'll come back real quick for episode 2, do a corner, some mailbag, not a ton, and then get out of here, watch some Thursday Night Football.
Let's do it.